Welcome, everybody, to the show. Joining us is our regular co-host and fellow traveler, Dan the Dan Noodles Man, the Howard Hessman of Wargaming. And joining us this evening is a very special guest all the way from sunny California, which is possibly not even on fire at the moment, Mr. Mark Ruggiero. Mark, thanks for coming.
It's the boss! The boss!
Yeah, thank goodness. The boss, I love. Thank God, yes, we're not on fire. We actually had
today. You're not on fire today. So
today, that's right.
You know,
yeah.
Mark, you're a heavy metal fan, eh?
Yeah, but
I guess I'll let Mark answer that question.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
So I mean, look, one of my friends has a son who takes his dad, my friend, to concerts of bands I never heard of. Heavy bands, man.
What, like AC/DC and that?
Are you kidding me? It's
Well,
like
how about heavier? Yeah.
something like a
But
band
AC/DC 's
called
good.
Abortion Eaters or something like that. You know what
Well,
I'm saying?
there's some genres out there like death metal and all kinds of genres now, but I'm actually into some of that too. Like I love AC/DC. That's my all-time favorite.
Oh,
band.
but they're the one.
Hard
That's so
rock
rock and roll, man.
Yeah, but heavy metal, like give just one because I know that's not what the show's about. But old school '80s one, if people will know, they were the fathers of what they call, I guess, death metal. I would call it that. But it's a band called Venom. You can go look them up.
But yeah.
But they're
Had
old.
nothing to do with Tom Hardy at all, strangely enough.
No, but I do love metal. I love my metal. Hey, everybody. So
I have it in my wife is so we'll be driving in the car, right? And I have a car playlist that I play in the car. And there's like 600 songs on it. And it's all always on random shuffle, right? And it's got a wide variety of things that I like and my wife likes and all that stuff. Invariably, when we're driving and I'm driving, and so I get to put the playlist on, and she's in the car with me, what comes up? Dio and Rainbow. Constantly, Dio and Rainbow.
Dio's the man.
So-
He's amazing.
What
he was
a
amazing.
vocalist. I saw him with Sabbath.
No, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. I was not so fortunate, but
Yeah,
I saw him by himself at least 4 times. Saw him with Sabbath once, and I saw him with Heaven and Hell, which was
yes.
an iteration of
Mhm.
Sabbath 3
Okay.
times.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there we go.
All righty.
Hey, everybody.
so there. Well, that's the best combination of all, then, isn't it? It's Sabbath
about
with
Dio?
Dio, right?
Dio era Sabbath. Yeah, amazing. Just incredible stuff. He was
Yeah, I think not as iconic as some of the stuff that Sabbath did under Ozzy, but just as good, I think.
I don't even get into. Some people get into who's God, Dio or Ozzy, and it's like, you know what?
It's different.
They're different, and you know what? Hail Ozzy. I mean, shoot, the guy's still alive,
Yeah, that's but miraculous, isn't it?
and he's getting ready to do his, I guess, and I think it will be his farewell because his health.
He's
isn't
doing
the
a
best.
tour.
No, he's gonna do 2 farewell shows in Birmingham, his hometown.
Because I just saw him on
Yeah.
YouTube, and
Uh-oh.
he no looking so
Yeah.
good.
Go figure. Hey, he's lived well though. Like you got to
Who the
say.
hell is Dio?
I think we can't blame either him or Lemmy for kicking the bucket at any given time, right? As tough as those guys were.
I think you got to salute how they live, though, whether you agree with
Oh,
it
my
or not.
God.
They,
Oh, I mean, yeah, not my bag, but
no, I wouldn't. Nobody choose. But I got to tell you, like Ozzy, it was a year or 2 ago. I don't want to. We like to get sidetracked on the show, but
sidetracked is what we do here, Mark. You know.
no,
that.
he did that the album with the song "Ordinary Man" on it, and "Under the Graveyard." If you haven't watched those videos, they're amazing, and it's from an album he did like 2 years ago.
I have to investigate that.
Yeah, I'll post it on my Facebook, and you can go, nobody pays attention to my music posts, anyways. It's funny, but that's okay. One of the reasons I love heavy metal is because it's so unpopular in the United States.
Is it?
Like, oh my, it's like a religion in South America and Europe.
You should see in Montreal, man. Holy
No.
cow.
Yeah, no, in America, our music taste is very bland, to say the least. and you know, and I no offense to anybody.
Speaking of Bland, Cheap Trick be in Columbus. So
Oh, I love Cheap Tricks. Yeah, you have a
eh,
you know. Well, let's
You
put it
gotta
this way.
respect
Hart
me.
when Hart was on, right? But
Yeah, Hart was
Cheap Trick.
good. Yeah. Well, I should say this. Would I go see him now? I don't know, but I remember, and I haven't seen him in a while. But a few years back, I went and saw Kiss, and I brought my kids with me because I needed somebody to drive me home. I'll be honest, when I go to a concert, I'm like a two-fisted drinker, just like let's party, you know. And so I brought my son. You know, I would always pay for the ticket, and he's like, "Oh, it's gonna be boring," and you know, "Oh, they're old," and I'll never forget it. Like Gene Simmons is doing "God of Thunder," right? And I had to go get a beer, and so I'm, you know, coming back with my beer, and he's like, "Oh my God, this is so amazing!" And you know, like different bands, like you can say whatever you want about Kiss, they knew how to do a show.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
I say 100%.
What I loved about Dio is he had the talent and he did a show.
Yes.
Like if you know, but because you know, there's some bands get up there, you know, and then there's bands that are like, and I like, you know, I don't know, there's some newer bands. Can I tell you what their names are? No.
Go ahead.
But I don't like Chemo Brain, like, and
Oh,
I
I
don't know how
see.
new they are anymore. But if you're into heavy metal, check out a band called OTEP. Sometime.
Yes.
She's
Yes.
awesome.
I know there's a lot of pretty cool metal type stuff coming out of like Northern Europe type countries, right? Like Scandinavia. Sometimes there's a couple of really good Dutch metal acts,
Right.
for example. Germany, I have no idea, but I mean Rammstein. That's all,
Germany has
all I
some
know.
heavy bands. Man.
Somebody just put up what Warren and
Oh God,
somebody else,
Oh
right?
yeah.
the
Boy,
No,
the
but-
pinnacle of '80s hair metal.
Right.
You know what?
But there was that one song, wasn't it Warren that did Cherry Pie?
I think so. Yeah.
That was a classic. And I got to tell you what, the guy that he passed away a few years ago, the lead singer. I got to party with him, not like him doing drugs or something, but drinking at Harrah's in South Lake Tahoe. I was at a Quiet Riot show where there were like 200 people there. With Kevin DeBro was still in there, and there he was. I forgot his name at the time. He was the old lead singer
From
for
Warren or
Warren.
Poison?
And Warren, and I forgot his name. He drank himself to death. But basically, he had like this VIP, and he's like, "Yeah, come on, sit down." He was like the coolest guy ever. I got to sit there and have a few drinks with him, and you know, we're watching, you know, Kevin DeBro and Quiet Riot and the boys do their thing. And, yeah, those were the days. I mean, I'll admit, I never impacted my work or my family life, but I used to like to party a lot.
Well, you're not gonna outpace rock stars. I mean, I wouldn't.
No.
Either, so no, I'd be like, yeah, I'm gone. I'm gonna take a nap now. I'm good. Thanks.
And people
So
go,
hard.
"Oh, they're rich with dummies," you know, and I think about it, you know, like put a philosophical spin on it. They're doing something in front of thousands of people. That's got to be a high that you're always trying to find. They got to. That's not why they
yeah.
spend so much of their time chasing it, right? Like,
Yeah.
think about that. You know, you're in front of this crowd, especially way back in the days of, you know, just that's got to be like, and then now what?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
right?
this is exactly how Dan behaves in front of 77 people. So, just so you know.
Mark.
Yeah.
Wargames heavy metal connection. Where is it?
The war games and heavy metal, the connection. Well, you do have some bands out there that Chemo Brain, I'm drawing band, but do some historical.
Sabaton.
So there's Sabaton, and then I'm going to butcher their name, but they're oh my God, they're Swedish. They call Viking metal. Armana Troth. No, Armana Troth. They do
Amon Amarth?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, yeah.
They do a song on Stamford Bridge.
Hmm.
A lot of historical. And believe it or not, I don't know how many people out there are in Iron Maiden, right? Phenomenal, okay? They did if you listen to a lot of their songs, they have actually quite a bit that are historical. They especially did an album that I don't know if it was that popular. I can't remember the name of it. For God, I'm horrible at names, but it had a D-Day theme Almost all the songs were about like the Normandy landings in World War II.
Okay. Hey, Al,
Yeah.
you know a guy called Al Stewart?
I was about to
Al
mention
Stewart.
Al Stewart.
Uh-oh.
You know The Year of the Cat and all
That's
that?
his best known song.
It's not heavy metal. That guy's a wicked.
Oh, the roads to Moscow.
That's the
it,
guy. Yeah.
man.
Yep. Yeah. And that's an awesome song, actually.
Awesome.
So, and he's done a ton of historically themed stuff. I think Amon Amarth and some of those folks, I don't know about Sabotage so much, are more over the fantasy thing, but, you know, who knows? I heard the guy from Three Dog Night was a war gamer and used to show up at Consim World Expo in Tempe, but I don't have any confirmation
that's
of
so
that.
cool. And taking a pop star like that out of their comfort zone, it's a totally different experience, man. You get to meet the person, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Brant, if these guys were not Warhammer guys, I would be stunned.
Who was it that was a big Flames of War player? And he was
don't forget Anne Murray, Molotov Cocktail Games. He also listens to Anne Murray.
What's the matter with you?
Who listens to Anne Murray?
Dan.
I do.
He's required to. You have to do that in Canada to get your citizenship papers or something like that. Listen to recite Anne Murray lyrics. I'm pretty sure.
I tell you want to hear a great metal cover is Avenged Sevenfold did a cover of "Living on a Prayer" from Bon Jovi.
Oh yeah,
it's pretty amazing if you can find it. Yeah.
Oh, who was that?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I thought I had it in my head. John Bon Jovi was in U571. If for those who don't know or shut it out.
I actually did not know that.
Yeah, he's in U571.
And U571, that was with Sean Connery?
That was no. That's with Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah. That was a good movie, man.
It's very fictional, but it's not a bad film.
Harvey Keitel.
Harvey Keitel's this. I think the first skipper of the boat, as I recall.
I remember when he was questioning McConaughey's judgment, and then McConaughey got it, and he said a line that stuck with me. It says, "I'll follow you anywhere."
Well, it's not a bad movie. It's bad history, but you know we take what we can get out of Hollywood.
It's entertaining. It is an entertaining movie.
Yeah. If you recall, I know we're supposed to be talking about wargaming, right? But if you'll recall, who the big pop star was that made an appearance as an important but small role in the original Battlestar Galactica TV miniseries.
Who did? I missed that.
Rick Springfield.
Oh,
wow.
Rick Springfield plays Apollo's brother that gets killed in the first 10 minutes.
Is that Jesse's girl?
That's that Rick Springfield, yes. Correct.
I did not know that.
Yeah, that's a thing I mean I presumably knew in 1978, but I've forgotten it since then, right?
1978.
Yeah, something like 78, 79 when it came out. So I'm talking about the original, not the remake on the with the other people.
I think in 1978 I smoked my first Thai steak.
I think in 1978 I was 7, so I didn't.
I would have been 13.
Yeah, me too, man.
Yeah, 13.
Yeah.
So Mark, when in your life's journey did you get into war games? Were you an earlier arrival to it, or not till later?
Oh, so that's super easy. So it was 1975. I was 10 years old, and I was already like playing chess and Risk and blah blah blah. And I had a subscription to Boys Life, and by the way, it was printed by Monarch Avalon. And there was an ad for this game called Tactics 2, right? And I go, I know a toy store that sells that. And that says I can command my own armies. And so I saved up my allowance till I had my $5 or whatever it was, because my parents were like, and I went and bought it myself. And it took me like 6 months to figure out how to play it. I remember that, right? Because wargaming has its own language,
Yes.
And so I 10 years old, man, and as they say, like, the hook was set. I just like my second game I got for Christmas was Third Reich. That was like going from 3rd grade to college. I mean, it was like and I don't think I played that right for like a year.
Oh, I can tell you, we certainly weren't playing Squad Leader correctly in 1980. I
No.
guarantee that.
Well, Squad Leader, so anyways, I acquired War and Peace and a few other games, Russian camp, Stalingrad, not Stalingrad, Waterloo and blah, blah, blah. But anyways, Battle of the Bulge really sticks out because it was very innovative. When I got it, it had engaged results and contact. Like, it was very different, right, than the standard fare. But I was going to say a game that really sticks out. You talk about Squad Leader. So I was in about 6th grade, I think, when that came out. Was it 1977 or so?
Sounds right, yeah.
And a buddy of mine who had more money than I did, but I used to go do sleepovers, and I go over his house, and that night I'll never forget. He's like, "Oh, we're gonna play this new game I got called Squad Leader," and it was, I'm sure we didn't play it, but what a mind blower! Like, fucking rain. Pardon my French. I don't
That's okay.
too, but ranged machine gun fire and morale checks, and to this day, and I don't have my brother actually has my original purple box that's
no way
down. Well, it's a piled mess now, but I have another copy that's it's in okay shape, but it's signed by John Hill.
Ooh,
shit.
Nice.
I got it. He was at Pacificon, a regional convention that I've run the wargames there for about 25 years, and he was our guest of honor one year, and I got him to sign it.
It's the purple box you got signed?
Yeah. And Roger said he would sign it for me, Roger McGowan, but I'm like scared to mail it to him. Because, not because he would do anything. I'm like, oh, what if it gets lost? So I don't know. Yeah. Not that it
you can't replace that. So
yeah, no, with John Hill and it's, and it's, I'll never sell it. I mean, my family do what they want with it eventually someday, but I'll never sell it. Never.
Mark, how come you got into war games? Was your family veterans of nothing?
Well, yeah. So there's a little story there. The main reason I got into war games, honestly, is because I just loved games like Stratego and Tank Command and Chess and was it Tank Battle, and then Tank Command. I remember I've posted it a few times. You go like use the game done by Ideal where you pull the string, move it, pop the tank off the track, and the ad was like Rommel. But family wise, yeah, what encouraged it was my Uncle Jay, he just passed away a few months ago. He was a rated chess player, and but he didn't really war game, but he encouraged gaming, like for but he was a really intense chess player and very interesting character.
Mark Herman is on the board of the New York Chess Society, man.
I believe it.
Or whatever that chess club. It's like a chess club. It's a really famous chess club. So of course it's so famous I don't remember the name of it.
Right.
But whatever it's called. Mark's a big shot there.
I haven't played chess honestly, and I played it, I guess you could say, competitively maybe through high school, and then after that I kind of dropped out of it. But I did for a few years maintain the Marshall Chess Club. Thanks, John. I did maintain my membership in the U.S. Chess Federation for a few years just to support it. I mean, I think it's honestly, I think it's a great game. I think it's a great game for kids to get into. But it's like my uncle used to say, and one of the reasons I got out of it, if you don't play it competitively, and like I said, I haven't since high school, but it's like my uncle used to say, he played it well into adulthood, he used to go to tournaments and all that. It's very mentally exhausting game if you're really playing it competitively, because you're like, guys like my uncle could think like, shit, I don't know how many moves ahead. It was crazy.
Oh, I can't do that.
I can't. I'm like, 1 or 2 if I'm lucky. Back when I was doing it, right? But anyways, yeah. So yeah, that would be the tie-in. Like, nobody else in my family gamed. I mean, of course, there was D&D, which I played, and like I got introduced to that when I was in 8th grade, actually. So it was after wargaming, and the guy had the white box and, hey, let's play. And The thing I'll never forget, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. He had some old man killed.
That's okay. Neither did the two guys that wrote the box.
Right.
So
But comparing chess to war games are way more involved, man.
Yeah, but chess is a war game. I
No,
would
I
say
know, but I mean, you have limited. When I say limited, the pieces are limited to what they do. In a war game, there's they're limited by what they do. I don't even know what I'm saying. Artie, help me here, Jesus Christ.
No,
I see what you're saying. I think it does feel like there's like a so on the one hand, the rules of chess are not complicated, right? You could teach a kid to play chess, no problem, and they'll be playing, maybe not well, but they'll be playing in the half an hour, right? You can't necessarily do that with World at War, for example. At the same time, and obviously chess has no random elements, right? It's completely deterministic, where most, but not all, war games, there are a few diceless war games, there's not that many. Most war games have some kind of random element to them. But I think the difference is that the decision space in chess, because there's a relatively small number of pieces, the rules are relatively simple, you're on this 64 space grid. The decision space is really well understood by proficient chess players. And I don't think very many people are that proficient at that many war games. There are some, right? If you go talk to Mark Herman, where he's going to play Empire of the Sun against 16 people at the same time and beat them all. That's a little bit a different scenario, but or you got like Thomas Buechner, who's like an ace OCS player, maybe somebody like that. But I think the vast majority of even good players of war games are not as good, are not as focused, right? They're not able to be as focused because the decision space is not as restricted as it is in chess.
Okay, thank you.
But I think what's interesting with chess, how focused it is, and I don't know what the number is, but it actually has. It's like somebody said one time, like that's why AI for wargaming, and it may get there someday, but like just chess alone has enough different options and moves. And I don't know if this is true or not. I had it explained to me once. It's like you could take a grain of sand and put it, and it would fill up a barrel, and that's chess.
Get out of here.
Like if it was so mechanical and so formulated, you would end up with the same game all the time. And if you watch the masters play, which I don't,
I don't.
But I've seen, I have read games and things. It's still not that there's really mysteries, but there is there's a lot of choices.
Yeah.
Oh, war games is vastly more, right?
So basically, chess. Am I wrong by saying chess is not a simulation game?
I would agree with that statement, but what do we mean by simulation exactly? Do we have a really firm idea? Because we might easily say, well, chess is not a simulation. It's a game. Okay, and fine, I might not disagree with that, and I don't think I do. But then, all right, so where is that continuum, and where do we draw the dividing line between game and simulation? And different people are going to put that line or gray area or whatever it is in a different spot on that continuum than I might or you might or Mark might or whoever, right? So to some extent, any conversation we have about that terminology needs to be prefaced by what we mean by the terminology, right? What do you mean when you say simulation, Dan?
Look, a simulation for me, and correct me if I'm wrong, okay?
You're not going to be wrong. I'll tell you up front, you're not going to be wrong. But go ahead.
For me, simulation is based on a certain battle, war, situation. That's what I think a simulation is.
The hell of Alistair.
Okay, I'm not saying that's the definition I would use, but okay.
Sorry.
But I'm talking historically here. Historically.
Well, whatever, right? What you're saying is a simulation is a game about a specific topic rather than being some general engine in which we
Yes,
might simulate a bunch
yes,
of
yes.
events of dubious or non-existent historicity, right? And like I said, I don't think that's my definition, but okay, I
Well, I
think
mean,
that works as well as.
where's the historicity in chess?
I don't think. Well, the
No,
historicity. Yeah. Okay.
I think chess simulates war in the sense of like because you are limited by the choices and it's medieval combat, right? So, but here's what I was going to say about you asked Dan, what do you say? What's a simulation, right? So this might be unpopular, but like I think wargaming itself is anything really a simulation. Like we have so much information. I think there's good models, so we could say that's simulation, right? I would agree with that, right? But like, it's kind of like what there was an article in the general one. It's like, or maybe I'm looking at realistic, right? And it said, hey, you want realistic? Go out and for ASL, and it was a thing in the general. Guys, that you want realistic? He said, go out and try to manhandle in the blowing, downpour in the mud your car through the mud. That's realistic. What it might be like to move a vehicle right through mud or something.
You want realistic? Go join the army.
Yeah. But I mean, I think there are some, like good models out there. But one of the obviously things with wargaming that I tell you, one thing I love about wargaming is I actually like, and I don't want a totally random experience, but the more stuff that's out of my control sometimes is the better. I think it's a better model. And like OCS, for example, which I haven't played in quite a while, but it's got the what they call a surprise roll, right? Where you take the action rate. I love that aspect. Right. I play ASL. I think ASL is a great game. I think it's like a John Wayne movie because you're making rate of fire, creating all kinds of shit going on, right?
It's somewhat cinematic, yeah. It's got realism issues.
Yeah, but I think and some players don't like that. Like you say, I don't like that. I want it. And it's fine, whatever you like. Say enjoy your journey, right? But it's some people like an old classic Stalingrad. Like on my channel, I did a trip down memory lane. Will I ever play the game? Probably not. Because it's not, but some people love it because it's chess-like in some ways, right?
You said Stalingrad, Mark, and already
the old Avalon.
That question just popped up,
which features Stalingrad as a hex on the map.
Exactly.
So Stalingrad is a historical situation. The outcome is clear. This and this and that. So, have you ever seen anybody play Stalingrad and have the Germans take over Stalingrad?
I'm not a great person to ask that question of. I've never played Stalingrad, and Stalingrad is a mid-'60s game, right? And it's really before my time.
I think Dan's questions in general, though, right? I don't know if it's...
Oh, well, I mean, if we're talking, if we want to take... Do we ever see the Germans take Stalingrad in, say, Case Blue? Yeah, that's happened. Right. I didn't get there, but I was playing the Soviets when we played Case Blue, actually.
Because I took his question to be like, so, for example, I'll answer that on ASL terms, and it's been 20 years ago at least, but one of the best gaming experiences. I've played 4 complete campaign games of Red Barricade.
Ooh.
As the Russians and the Germans. We had a group of us, blah, 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 right? And it happened in one game out of the 4 where the Germans...
Well, how bad do you have
Red Barricades cleared the map.
Well, how bad do you have to screw up?
I don't know. I think it's not necessarily a screw up. I think it's a matter of... from what I remember, that it's a matter of getting some breaks when you needed some breaks and different. I mean, ASL is such a wide open game. I mean, one of the reasons we play the game, right, is to explore alternate outcomes. I mean, granted, there was a discussion I saw on Facebook. There's a million of them, but like one was, you got a battle where one side's always going to win, and I think it was Stigler was saying, Well, that's up to the designer, needs to fix it, right, and make it so it's interesting. So even if it's totally lopsided, but the thing is, I mean, most games, we play games as part of it to explore alternates, like what
Hmm.
could happen, right? And sure, like I've played a lot of World at War from GMT, right?
Hmm.
And I've seen, it's very rare because the victory conditions there are based on when did the Axis fall.
Yep.
But I've seen games where Germany, owns all of Europe, and
Oh
they've
my
developed a
God.
rocket, and nuke. I mean, you can't really nuke New York, but basically got a rocket and the A bomb, right? Or
Hmm.
and the Axis won. But is that normal? No. And did somebody screw up? I was actually, that game that I saw, they were all pretty good players. It was a matter of certain breaks went certain ways, and you know, um,
So,
that's
Mark,
why you play, right?
what's your favorite era?
Oh God.
Come on.
Well, like most people, I got to say, based on number of games I have and what I've played the most, is probably World War II.
And so,
Like everybody,
Yeah.
what's your preferred scale?
except Gilbert Collins.
Yeah.
Gilbert's not that big of a World War II guy, but
No,
but
I'm not.
that's unusual though, right? I mean, I've got, I don't know, 35, 38% of my stuff is World War II. And I think that's low. That's lower than it was like 57%, right? A few years
Right.
ago.
I think so. What's my favorite scale? I kind of want to answer that in two things. My favorite scale, if I can only pick one, and thank goodness I don't have to, is strategic level. I love like games like World in Flames, World at War, Storm of Steel, Balance of Power, Der Weltkrieg. I'm getting ready to kind of maybe do some stuff with that. Napoleonic War, but yeah, strategic. I like the big broad sweep, the politics, the whatever the games, and they're all apples and oranges. But what I wanted to
Hmm.
say was favorite era. There again, I'll just make this general statement because I've said it before. And if you remember those old ads where the guy said, "Oh, let's give it to Mikey.
Yeah,
He'll
yeah,
like
Mikey's
it."
with everything.
That's me with war games. I will play anything that's a war game.
So you're
I
like the
don't.
anti-Stigler, is what I'm
Yeah,
hearing.
oh my God. Yeah, I will find, I love Stigler, but I will find anything. There's like been two games in my life that were like, okay, that's it. I'm done. I will find something to like, and here's why. I appreciate creators. I'm
Hmm.
not a creator. I know what work goes into these games. Whether
Yes,
you
yes.
love them, hate them,
Yeah.
that's on you. That's your journey, right? But I will always try to find something to like. And does it mean I'll play it? There's games that I gravitate towards that I play way more often than others. But and it kind of goes back to, long story short, GMT did, Air Bridge to Victory was one of their three original games. And I will
Hmm.
never forget, there was a review in Fire and Movement magazine when it was run by, I think at the time Decision owned it, right? It
Hmm.
was, but there was a review, and I remember being at my local game store, and I bought the Fire and Movement, and I'm reading get home, and I'm reading the review on Air Bridge to Victory, and I'd already played it a few times. And I like, whoever wrote this review never played the game. Never. They had the
Shocked.
rules. They had the
Shocked.
rules right. Right, right. But no, you're right. But it was like they had the rules correct that they talked about, but they had no clue, and the guy trashed the game.
Hmm.
But I knew that he had never played it because he had something like that never happens, and I had already played it a few times, against opponents too, right? So, that's the other thing I love about gaming, right? Like you'll get these, and I solitaire anything, right? Now bots are all the rage, blah blah blah. And they're great, right? But to learn a game, I like solitaire in it. But here's why I brought up, this popped into my head. You meet those guys out there that are like, I got the perfect strategy. I've been solitaire in this game for 5 years. And anyways, you put them in an environment where they play other people, and then it's like, oh my god, that wasn't such a good idea, or I had that rule wrong, right? Like,
That was dumb.
but
Oh my
yeah,
god.
yeah. And look, I'm like anybody. I like to win. But I'm not. How do I put it? Everybody's competitive, right? But I've been gaming long enough, and the group of guys I play with, which is pretty vast, relatively speaking. I've got to eliminate people where we've all met them. We're like, well, I'm not a man unless I win, and I'm not that guy, or the guy that's looking for the loophole in the rule, or the I want to.
Yeah.
I drive my friends nuts with sometimes. I want to understand how a rule works, so I'm not rules lawyering, but I'm like, I'll discuss it. But I'm definitely the guy that's like, well, we can't agree. All right, let's screw it. Let's just roll a dice and move on.
Right.
Like, or okay, well, let's play it your way. Let's move on. I want to keep playing.
I am also highly competitive and totally incompetent. So those are
Yeah, well,
a terrible combination.
I like that. That's good.
Hey, Mark,
So-
answer this question. That's a good question, man.
Not just 70s or 80s, but video
Right,
games in
right.
general. Has that drawn you away from analog or tabletop games at any point?
No, I would say absolutely not. Probably the most sidetracked. This gives you how old I am. Well, we're all not really old, but I would say no. The only games I ever actually got into playing video-wise, and this is how long ago it was when I bought my first Commodore 64.
Jesus
My
Christ.
tape, right? My tape, but no, I don't know. I never got into video games. I mean, I went and spent my money down at the local when we had video, game stores, and played Dragon Slayer and Galaga, but it didn't. Normally, we would play Galaga at the local 7-Eleven when we were refilling our supply of chips and soda to go back to the house to play a war game or Dungeons and Dragons. When back in the day when, and I still buy role playing games and read them. And I'm going to be playing RuneQuest.
Hey, Mark, there's
Starting
a
soon.
There
are no slots available, people. Sorry, we'll have an announcement when there's another one.
There's a wicked
I remember
question.
Archon. I played Archon on the C64, actually. Go ahead, Dan.
I forgot. I remembered. There's a wicked question here, and
We're saved.
It's here you go. Do you play coin?
I play coin. I've literally played it 4 times.
So what do you got to say?
And I like it, but it's not near my favorite, not even multiplayer. Like, there's nothing wrong with them. It's just, I don't know, like I've got the Vietnam one still. I still have the Algerian one's probably my favorite. So when I said 4 times, I've played 4 titles. I've played the Algerian one a couple times. Yeah, nothing really against them, but it's kind of like, I don't know, multiplayer.
It's like nothing's happening.
No,
Nothing's happening.
Yeah, well,
There's all kind of stuff happening. What are you talking about?
It's not happening.
No. Well, I don't know if I would agree with that, but when I get a chance to get a group of people together, because I'm the organizer, right? Like in any group, there's somebody that drives it, right? Like gamers are like, no offense to anybody that's watching, obviously, but it's like herding cats, right? Like somebody in your group is the driver, though, that says, hey, we're getting together.
Yes.
Who's in? Blah, 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 right? Sends all the irritating emails. And I'm that guy in my group, right? And if, for example, the GMT West back in October, I drove that. We ended up having 6-7 people playing all 4 of the Compass games through World War games there. This in April, my plan is at GMT West. I'm either going to do that again, but right now it's looking like we're going to be playing Unconditional Surrender.
The South Basta game.
Yeah,
Good game.
Yeah,
I liked Mule too, for the record.
Mule.
What the hell is Mule?
Right, yeah, tell me. I don't.
It was like a sort of civilization builder type thing. I played it on the Commodore 64, where you had like this robot mule, and the robot would go to an alien planet and build a colony there, or something like that. It's been a long time. Okay.
My favorite game on there. Well, no, maybe it was after that, but it was F-16 or something for Micro Pros. I forgot.
Nice.
And they had a game on there called 50 Mission Crush, which was B-17 basically. I think what's amazing about the Commodore 64 that's hilarious is thing had 64K of memory. And it had all these colors, and it did like, honestly, if you look at what my nephew, Zayden, my really smart kid, just graduated from Northeastern, he's got a great job, he's living in the Boston area, not a war gamer, but he does like retro gaming. And I don't know if he does it with the Commodore, but he literally like went out and bought a tube TV, and he's got the Atari. Like, it's like a whole thing out there, I guess. But it's funny, if you look the Commodore 64 with what it did for the time, oh my God, it was.
Oh yeah,
it was amazing.
That was where the action was back in the day. Thank you, John Stanley, much appreciated. And I think Stigler's right about this. I think Russian campaign and the SPI Barbarossa even. Although I think in retrospect, I think Russian campaign is the better game. I think that's what killed Stalingrad, right? They're just better, right?
Right. But who remembers? It was just really quick. Who remembers from the years? I'll say this about Russian campaign. I think as we've aged, a lot of us have gotten more picky. I don't know what the right word is, but because I can
insane
remember,
was the word I was thinking of.
Because I can remember as a kid, one of the biggest joys, and I'll never forget it, you're playing Russian campaign, and oh my God, double impulse. And I never played Jedco. I was the Avalon Hill version.
Mm-hmm.
And, but it was like, you're just your imagination. And it still works as an adult to a point with my gaming, but it's kind of like, just like, oh, how am I going to hold the Crimea? Or it wasn't analyzing it down to, well, if I kill this many worker units per turn and I do this, like the one thing I always hated about the general, and that's what it was a lot of, was the analytical numbers articles, especially when I was a kid. Like I wanted to read about sweeping offensives and how to defend, and and it wasn't very realistic, I guess, because a lot of the articles, of course, were the percentage chance of this attack working is this.
I do think that part of the reason, I mean, we're in nowadays, right? It's a game-rich environment, right? There's games for everybody. There's games on phones, games on computers, games on whatever. Right. And I think one of the appeals of analog games that has kind of reemerged in the wake of the popularity of computer games is actually the function of the human imagination as a component of play, right? Because that is a thing that we see playing war games or RPGs or whatever, where in a computer game maybe less is left to to your own imagination, depending on the computer game. But even some of the early games, like I don't know, do you remember the Atari 2600 game Adventure, for example? That was an oddball. Seven Cities of Gold was a favorite of mine back in the day on the C64, by the way.
So if I could really quick in the comments, I wanted to acknowledge, so Scott Bell, he's an old buddy of mine from high school, and he just says, oh, the Bismarck game we played, right? And if the reason that game was so memorable was because I was the Bismarck, and it was a long-range plunging shot, and I rolled everything exactly. We played the advanced combat system from the 79 version or whatever, and it blew the hood up. I'll never forget that.
Ooh. Nice. Now, was this first or second edition Bismarck?
It was this. So second, it was the 79
later
one with the advanced combat system in it.
Yeah,
which is basically miniature.
Hey, Mark, I got a good question here.
Yeah.
Avalon Hill or SPI?
Oh, for me it was. So I know this sounds like sacrilege. I'm one of the guys that was all about Avalon Hill. And
me too,
maps and here's the thing: the toy store I talked about, where I bought Tactics 2. I bought my first SPI game, and I was like, "This game sucks." It was World War III. And I was like, "Man, paper map," but I didn't and maybe it was I couldn't figure it out. I actually didn't start admiring SPI or any of their games until literally when they go literally the year they went out of business,
1982.
Yeah, so like a year before that, like it was 80, 81 that I finally bought, like I think I got like Napoleon's Last Battles, and I started to appreciate what they did. Now I will say, my friend that I talked about earlier with the squad leader,
Hmm.
we used to salivate and we couldn't afford it was because he had a couple. He had we never played it, but he had like Battlefleet Mars and he had a
Hmm.
couple other ones. But we remember looking through the catalog and going, "Oh my God, look at this War in the Pacific 7." Even back then, I loved monster games, but we couldn't afford the $35. That was like a
Yeah, but
fortune,
that was a
right?
fortune, man.
So,
Hmm.
so I never forget one summer we drew up we made this humongous game in his he had like a game room where they had a ping pong table and we drew. I never forget that summer we made this huge game where we had made up countries and we made up counters and who knows if the game made sense, but we had a hell of a time with it, you know.
You designed the monster game.
Well, more he did. We together we were friends. We just, it was before I met Scott. It was like I was in like junior high and stuff.
God,
Yeah.
you're a real grognard, man.
Well, what's funny is, Dave Greenwood, a friend of mine, got picked up some of my games. He's been helping me sell some of my stuff. And he's like, I'm going through my collection. And I never really thought about it that much. But my knowledge of gaming and games, not necessarily how to play, but the history of them, like, oh, there was this edition, blah, 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 blah. And he said, Mark, he said, it's amazing what you know. He goes, I've been gaming for 30 years. Because he'll be like, you know, you know, like Circus Maximus, right? Everybody knows the Avalon Hill edition.
Hmm.
Yeah,
And there's Battle Line, but it was
yeah.
actually released by Heritage Models, which eventually became Battle Line. And
Hmm.
I have that edition. It's in a big old box, right? Like, and it's just neat. I don't know. It's what they
And
call
who
that
designed that, Mark?
useless knowledge or
I know Reiner Knizia. We're talking about that battle
No, no,
line.
no, 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 no,
favorite
no.
war game.
Mark's talking about.
Oh,
Uh,
sorry.
I forget who
Max-
designed Circus Maximus.
I don't
Though
know the designer, so
Ah.
there. See, I fail. I fail you there.
I have a hunch.
Can I Rolo?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, Mark. What is your favorite war game and why? Well, thank God I don't have to pick, but I will. If I have to pick one game,
Seriously.
I'm going to tell you right now, and it's a squeaker between this one and World in Flames, probably, is Axis Empires Ultimate Edition from Decision Games.
I'm very impressed with it.
I have played. Oh my God! You know what? I'm on my second 4-player game. All right?
Awesome.
And this first time playing Dicenso, believe it or not, I've never added that in. We're playing the 37 scenario, but I've played that game from every iteration, and he's asking why. Why do I love Krieg? And I've stuck with that family at time, even though Krieg was a disaster when released in '93. It succeeded in spite of itself. It abstracts out. Granted, Ultimate you can add in the Navy, which I will do at some point, but it abstracts out. It's just the right amount of flavor that you get with the abstract naval and air stuff. You got a myriad of choices when you're playing, which I love.
Mm-hmm.
Tons of die rolls, so lots of variations, which I love. Like, you do not have total control. And it's a panzer pusher game, right? Like, and that's stolen out of at least the original rule book, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I got to tell you, it's a squeaker because I also, you pick one. Thank God.
Well, give us a top five. Give us a top five, Mark.
Oh boy. Okay, so top 5, and I'm going to use series as a game.
I do that all the time, so go ahead.
ASL, Advanced Squad Leader, absolutely. Been playing it off and on since 1986. Axis Empires Ultimate Edition. World in Flames, because it's a great sandbox game. I love World in Flames. Haven't played it
Mark,
in
what
about
do you
10
mean by
years.
sandbox game?
So what I mean by sandbox is, So World in Flames, and I know Artie's played it a lot, but basically you start out, it's World War II. It gives you the historical situation. And from there, and sure, some things are smarter to do than others. But if you want to try to build out a huge navy with the Germans, you can try. You want to try this. You can throw all kinds of stuff in the
Okay.
box,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that, to me, that's what a sandbox is. It the correct terminology? I don't know, but to me,
Okay,
that's
okay.
what it means, right? Like you can throw in, mix a bunch of stuff. So okay, so that's 3. I just got to say it because I'm a big proponent of it. Like, and I know, but Storm of Steel from Decision. I know that's a tough one for some people, but I think it's a wonderful game. You can play 4 players, get just enough chrome to keep it interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Cards and the die rolls keep it. I think it's Artie knows. I think it's a really overlooked game.
I
And
think so too.
Bob Medro, and I helped him, but he did an amazing job with the update kit. And then, boy, number 5 series. Well, I'm going to pick a series game, and it's really tough because I'm playing a lot of La Bataille right now. But I think I'd have to go with Great Battles of History.
Hmm.
That's
Nice.
Okay.
Berg,
Okay.
Herman. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know, who's more than the other. But yeah, top 5. Now, get into the top 10. Well, you got Derwelt Krieg, you got, which I think is genius. And of course, I love Grognard Simulations, Death Ride Curse. Can people either love it or hate it? Whatever.
Or are terrified by it. One of those 3.
I love it. So.
Artie, what's that game there? TWIW there? The game
TSWW?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
those are phenomenal.
The Mark is familiar with these 2. That's the Second World War series from Diffraction Entertainment, or the Knowledge Company. I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to say now.
Yeah, I know.
Since
Right?
But
that
isn't
rebranding,
that super detailed and the units?
the order of battle is incredibly detailed. Yes, the rules are detailed, but I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, it's complicated, but I mean, I don't know that I'd say it's more complicated than any other really complicated game.
Put their life into this game.
I think this. I'll say this in about that series, and then I'm a big fan. I've actually played Barbarossa face to face with 3 other guys. We spent a nice leisurely 4-day weekend drinking and bullshitting and blah 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 when we played it. We got through about 8 turns, 8 weeks. Would I play it again? I'd love to. It has, I think, by far. You want detailed maps of the Soviet Union or any other area?
The maps are nice.
The maps are incredible. Yeah, the detail in the maps.
What is a game cost here in the States? One of those games, because I know it's in pounds.
300 plus.
Yeah, I think Barbarossa, if you get the top Generals edition, right, with the extra maps and
it's
stuff.
500 plus, something like that. Yeah, but it's enormous too, right? I mean, you're not getting a folio game for that.
So this is, I want to say this about game costs, and because is really quick is I think what's interesting, like I heard the other day, and it doesn't matter who said it, but somebody's like, I would never spend $100 on a game or
That's
more
what
than
games cost.
But here's the thing, and you know what? I'm not a great example because I have a lot of my collections on Punch, and I don't even clip it unless I play it. So, but I think this. You look, I pre-ordered Axis Empire's Ultimate Edition, and there were people freaking out about, oh my god, it cost, whatever retail is 300. I pre-order was 2 whatever.
Oh, it's expensive.
I'm on my second 4-player game.
Yeah.
That I've got to sit around the table for now 7 days altogether, because the first one we did 4 in a row, and now the second one we were breaking it up, and get the BS and have fun, and we're playing the 37
and that's worth
scenario.
something.
And for entertainment dollar wise, and I get it, like but entertainment dollar wise, I think wargaming is among the cheapest hobbies that are out there. And if you take your wife or your partner or whatever, you go out to a decent dinner, how much you going to spend with a couple drinks? And
You're
a
gonna
decent
spend
dinner, you're going to easily spend, especially now, $100,
oh
right?
easy, easy.
Handily.
And it's a great meal, hopefully. And yeah, because I'm not talking about Denny's or something, right? But or or was it Applebee's over on the Compass?
Yeah.
But you get a nice meal and have a good time with your partner, your friends, whatever, and and it's but war game you can go back to and look at and study it and put the maps out and I'm going to get a book now and yeah it can I love those old Avalon Hill used to say lifetime of pleasure for 10 cents. Okay, yeah, right. But
Yeah.
anyways, I don't know. I made my point. I was just trying to make the point of, and it's all relative. Like, because it is important to me. I always say enjoy your journey. And it really is. You know what? You want to go out and just collect them and buy them and look at them, or you want to play them, or
Have fun doing
whatever it
it, man.
is. Right? It is. That's all it's about is enjoying your journey,
Mhm.
Yep.
whatever it is. It doesn't
Yes, sir.
matter what it is.
Yes,
Because as
sir.
long as you enjoy it, that's what matters.
Yeah, no, I mean I'll point out just as a cost comparison that $35 $35 price you quoted for 1978 for War in the Pacific, which sounds about right to me. If you plug that into a calculator, that's going to turn into like $165 in 2024 dollars, right? So
Okay.
it's some of these games are expensive, but the ones that are expensive are big, right?
Well, yeah.
An Ultimate Edition. I mean, God, the components for that. If you haven't played that game, and you can disagree, it might not be and I'm telling you, play it. You will love it. I mean, I'm totally in love with Toller Krieg. Oh my God, I think it's phenomenal. I just, obviously I'm gushing about it. It's
Hmm.
like, I just have so much fun with it. And I actually can't wait to try. I don't know when I'll get to do it. Maybe our next game, but I do want to try the expansion because I am a monster glutton for punishment guy. Like I want to learn Goss. Everybody I know is
Hmm.
playing BCS. I got all the titles. You can see some of them behind me. But OCA. Oh my gosh, like that's. I mean, honestly, like obviously here it's really funny with being sick and stuff. What's really funny is when I'm playing my games or talking about games. Like here I am. Like let's and it was last weekend, like I said, we had it was me, Irwin, Dave Miller, and David Greenwood that's who's playing Axis Empires with me, and man, I was going all day, and like we stopped for lunch and this and that, and it was funny. As soon as they left, though, I was like, okay, I gotta go take a nap now, But oh my God, I just love it. So, I hope that everybody, one thing I just wanted to say this because I don't know when this show ends and I know we're getting near an hour, but, yeah. Hey, Hefe, thank you. I wish I could have one of those. Let me tell you, but I like what, Dan does, Artie does, Mo, I want to mention him. The guy, he's on here earlier. I can't pronounce, you said his name earlier, the World War I guy.
Oh,
I can't.
Nagwaya.
I can't
That's
pronounce
yeah,
his.
yeah.
But I do want to say, like like what you guys do with YouTube, and I like to think I do my little small part. Like, and everybody that's here watching, whatever your journey is, like I got to tell you, I love Stigler. I met him up in Oregon, and I'll leave it at that. Okay, but I haven't met anybody in wargaming that's um, with only a couple of exceptions. It's just like haven't been just like phenomenal, uh, fun people. And
Yep.
my number one goal, but what I want to do is give you guys credit for what you do. I want to make sure. But I want to, like, I know my number one goal, and it always has been, and I never realized what an impact I've had on the hobby until
Jesus.
now. And it's like it's a kind of shitty
Jesus.
way to find out, but it's really interesting. Like I was at MonsterCon, and I'm talking a little bit in circles, but I'm at Expo this last year, and this guy comes up to me, and I'm sorry I don't remember his name. And he comes to me and he says, Mark, you don't remember me, but I want to give you this game. And he gave me this. It was a game on Stalingrad, I think. I don't remember which one. But he said about 3-4 years ago, he said, you were helping me price stuff because I was tired of the hobby. I was getting out of it. Like I was just, But he said, after talking to you and you helped me find some opponents and this and that, he said, here I am. And he said, it's only because of you. And I got to tell you, that touched me because I've never done anything in this hobby to benefit myself. It's always been just because I love it. That's why you guys do your channels. I know that. I know that's why.
It's the money.
It's the big dollars.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. But anyway, I just wanted to say that. I just wanted to make sure.
Well, thank you very much.
Get to acknowledge you guys. And I appreciate the hard work. 'Cause trust me, doing my own channel, it's great when people comment or like, or because I know it's like sometimes it's like. It's funny. I was looking at my list and I know that like some of my videos, oh my God, they got 7, 8, and I know a view is somebody could click on it and go, this ain't for me and jump off. Right. But it is kind of funny. Like, you look and sometimes you put your heart in. So I like what Artie said about learn to play videos. Appreciate them, people, because they're a lot of work and we screw them up. I know I do. But I couldn't. I think when I saw you did a short on that already, I think, or something. But anyways, so I don't.
Well, Mark, you said your impact on the war game community. Well, the first con I've ever been to in the States was WBC, and I went there for 3 reasons: Mark Herman, Mark Ruggiero, and the Player's Aid.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
And that's why I was excited. I remember when I came out and I said, "Hey, Mark, I remember you were sitting outside. You kind of looked like a John Wayne type of character, and you had your cigarette in your mouth and you did this. Hey."
That's right. No, that's right. No.
Hey.
So when I go to Gettysburg, fingers crossed. I mean, I got my plane ticket. I'm feeling pretty good. As long as I'm feeling like this, I'm going. There's I don't want to put him on the spot, so I won't say it, but there's a guy who's going to give me a ride from Baltimore airport out. I was going to Uber, and he's like, "No, I'm going to rent a car. I'll just give you a ride." And he told me, he's like, it was so funny. I mean, it was funny in a nice, heartwarming way. He's like, Mark, he says, I've been following you off and on for 4 or 5 years now. He's like, you're a goddamn legend. And I go, okay, all right, if you say so. Like, but I just think, and not that I don't let it go to my head. I just think I've always, like I said, at Pacificon Regional Convention, I've done the war games there for 25 years. I'm so happy, we got, Carl Creeder's on here with the boot camp. Those guys moved from SoCal, came up. They do a wonderful job there with the boot camp. Him and Tim Porter. Just a lot of people. And I got one guy's like, you're always positive. You're never negative. And I'm like, well, what's the point of being negative?
There's no point in being negative.
I want to be negative. I'll go watch the news. Okay.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
We all come here to escape and I get constructive criticism. That's fine. There's nothing drives me more nuts than to see somebody posting or talking about, I love this game. It's the greatest game ever. And somebody just comes like, oh, that game's shit.
Nah.
Why didn't you just scroll on by? What's wrong with you? What's your damage? Why do you got to say that? And I
can only assume that such a person has no actual problems in their life to concern themselves with, so they must become enormously bent about somebody having fun on the internet.
Right.
Yes.
And I am not, I want to be clear, I am not talking about somebody that get constructive criticisms or good reasonings, but it's kind of like, don't rain on your treasure might be my trash.
If you got nothing to say, shut up.
Yeah. And I'll get to say in praise of, or I don't know if that's the right word, but John Prados recently passed away.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, I love Avalanche Press Panzer Grenadier. It's not in my top 10, but I like playing it. But I will say this. I said in the beginning, there's 2 games that I absolutely just hated, right? And one was Avalanche Press John Prado's Third Reich. Now, other people love it. So I'm not saying, but for me, it didn't work. Like
both of those people thought it was amazing.
Yeah.
Neither of whom was John Prado's, I believe.
But that's what I mean. He had nothing to do with it. And the only reason I mentioned the name is because, there is 2. And I will say this. The other one, and it's only because as far as I was concerned, it could have been Space Invaders. Mm-hmm. And I love the SCS system, but believe it or not, it was Crusader. To me, it had no historical flavor whatsoever. And, but that might be somebody else's treasure. And I say, love it, play it. Like, that's what you're there for. It's who cares what Mark Ruggiero thinks? But, yeah, I'm the guy, though. I will say that. People ask me, Mark, should I pick this game or this game? I'm the guy that's going to be like, well, here, buy them all, and here's why. I'll go through and, like, here's what I liked about each one. Or,
this guy's a weirdo.
I'm one of those that, like...
Carl Creeder.
And that's
what, I think where Carl's coming from is exactly the point that Mark just described, where it's a positivity thing, and he does not have sufficient energy to hate it as it deserves.
Yeah,
so
hate's a strong.
Carl Creeder, he's just gotta bust my chops.
That too.
And the thing is, am I going to run out and buy it? No, but you know what? And granted, Carl, if we ever do get to play a game together, we talk about it, but we're so busy when we're at Pacificon. I actually want to play Atlantic Wall Goss.
Oh, nice.
But, because we've talked about it. I bought it. But
I want pictures of Carl playing at Goss Atlantic Wall, just so you know.
Okay, well, we'll have to, maybe we'll pose one, Carl, at Pacificon. We'll see.
There you go.
Yeah. But anyways,
it'll take an hour just to set the maps up.
Here's what I was going to say. Like, if Carl sat down and said, all right, Mark, I want to play John Prado's Third Reich with you, I'd be like, okay, I'll play. Even though
I would give it a shot too. I might complain about it the entire time.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you what I didn't like about it was the political system. And I remember reading the rules. I set it up. I was actually going to play with my son, who doesn't wargame anymore. He plays Warhammer, and so, which that's fine. But and I remember all I can say is I put the game in motion, and it just kind of went off the rails. Like, I mean mechanically. I don't mean result wise. I mean, I couldn't figure out, wait a minute, if I do this and this, what happens, right? Like, yeah. Atlantic Chase. God.
I think Carl's having fun now.
Oh, no, he's making fun.
We're getting them mixed up. All right, folks. We are out of time for tonight.
That went so quick, man.
That did go really fast, actually. That's because Mark did all the talking. Mark, thank you. That was what you were supposed to do.
Oh, good. I hope I didn't. Yeah.
Best guest ever. So, all right. So, Mark, we will obviously be in touch with you, and I would like to thank everybody for coming out tonight. We have 104 people watching right now, which is pretty awesome, and I think we might have had a couple higher a little while ago. So, I'd like to remind everybody that we'll be back next Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Mark, once again, thanks so much, and everybody have a great night, except for Dan.
Big move. Big win. The moose is loose. Big moves. Big win.